Hey everybody, it's Andy from James Neave Estate Agents. Tonight we're going to do a question and answer session, and I am joined by Ryan Wales, my sales and lettings manager,
Hello.
and Amber Smith, who is our office coordinator stroke head of global marketing. Say hello guys. So Amber has been talking to some people in our community and has got some burning questions, so we'd like to try and help. Fire away, what have we got?
So I think the one that everyone's kind of been asking the last couple of days is regarding stamp duty and how that sort of affects current purchases, future purchases and all that. So how does that work now that Rishi Sunak's announced that sort of stuff?
Ryan, do you want to go? Or do you want me to jump in?
Well, I think initially it's obviously going to cause quite a big reaction, and it's going to get people talking straight away, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who have been considering a move, maybe not been able to afford to do the move, and now this could change things quite dramatically. So I think there's going to be a lot of conversations going on in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, they've got till the end of March to complete or exchange on a deal to obviously benefit from the stamp duty holiday. So I think there's going to be some big conversations coming up in the coming weeks, next couple of months. And we may well just see more and more properties come to the market and people looking to move and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there was a massive pent-up demand after Brexit anyway, and we started to see that through January to March, didn't we, before the COVID stuff kicked in. And I think actually, it's such a popular thing to do in this country, buy and sell houses, and the demand was there, built up from people delaying over Brexit. And the great thing about a stamp duty holiday like this is it's real money in your pocket. Stamp duty isn't something that you can lump onto your mortgage, so people have had to have had that money saved, which means they're going to potentially save it, or they weren't ready to move because they couldn't afford it, and actually this makes it affordable. So I think Ryan's spot on. I think we'll see a whole host of properties hit the market, and I think we'll see a lot of buyers come out who actually will want to take advantage of it. You're talking about people saving 10 to 15 grand. It's a huge once in a lifetime kind of amount of money. So hopefully it will only be a positive thing for the market.
Yeah, and I think something you mentioned earlier, Andy, or shared with on a local page, was the fact that if you've already exchanged but you haven't completed, you will benefit from that as well, which I think is really good.
Yeah, we made someone's day on one of the groups. Who was gutted that she thought she'd missed out on it.
Yeah.
I found a post from a local solicitor, Laura Morrison's in Wimbledon, and she'd done a blog about it, and that said that actually if you'd already exchanged but haven't completed until after the 8th of July, you'll still benefit from it. So happy days. There's going to be a lot of people who'll be very very pleased with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously the other big thing at the moment is COVID and how the market's been affected by it. So I think that's the other question people have been asking. Has the market dipped because of it? What's going on really?
Yeah, I think we've been, pre the stamp duty news yesterday, we were amazed really at how busy we've been after the lockdown. I think we came back with the assumption that it would be quite quiet on the sales side, but actually we've been tucking sales away, and there's been a good demand, and prices have been holding up at the pre-COVID levels. So it's been positive in that sense. And obviously we've got to take COVID really seriously, and it's the business has changed, and the dynamic of doing viewings and keeping people safe has changed. But in terms of the market, it's been good. So adding this kind of stamp duty element into it is a positive thing, I think.
You're absolutely right. I think obviously prior to lockdown, the market it's been really good so far this year anyway. So we're all slightly worried about how it's going to be post lockdown, but it's been really good. I think a lot of people have obviously had time to think over lockdown. We're starting to see people considering moving out of London, get out of a busy town. People potentially suddenly want a bit of outdoor space, realise how important that is. I think the other thing to consider is, more and more people are going to be working from home now. So I think people are now looking at, okay, maybe we need an extra bedroom, maybe we need an office space. Maybe they can't, do that in their current property. So there's various reasons, even from COVID, that have forced people into thinking about buying. So.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, we thought maybe people didn't want to view, and they wouldn't want to go and view properties after we came out of lockdown. But I think, you know, as long as us as estate agents are being safe, and, you know, we're making sure we're practicing safety first, I think a lot of people feel confident in going out and viewing.
Yeah, I mean, look, we as an estate agency were a really early adapter of virtual viewings. I mean, I think I coined the term virtual viewings years ago, and told, you know, we started the virtual tours donkeys years ago, and they've always been popular. But I don't think there's any substitute for going and walking around a property and going to walk up and down the street and get that feel for it. So as much as technology is great and it does offer a good solution and whatnot, I think in the long run, people still want to get out and see houses. It's something that actually is quite a fun process to go through when you're looking for a house. It's exciting. So yeah, I think people want to get out and do it. And you're spot on, Amber. It's just about keeping everyone safe and being careful.
Definitely. The other thing, obviously, we've been talking about a bit this week is mortgages and people, and the amount of deposit people need to have for a mortgage. How has that changed, like, sort of since COVID, and, you know, the development on that side?
Yeah, it is. That's been, I think, one of the difficult parts of the market, is that the lenders and the banks were obviously getting quite worried about this supposed price crash that was coming, and, you know, there are far cleverer people than me saying it was going to happen. So the lenders were starting to pull. Well, they pretty much pulled all of the 95% mortgages available and most of the 90% mortgages available. And that had an impact, or has had an impact, on first-time buyers, because obviously it limits their options in the market. But I'm hoping, using stamp duty, that they'll come back in. I mean, you know, the reality is the banks want to lend money, and as long as they're confident that the prices aren't going to crash, I think they'll be keen to do so. And obviously interest rates are incredibly low.
Again, I think people who are potentially short on deposit money, suddenly it's topped up again from potentially not having to pay as much stamp duty. So that's another reason that people will be thinking, okay, we couldn't get that 5% product or that 10% product. Maybe they can now get the next one. So I think that's another reason that, you know, we'll start getting things moving quicker again as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Good time to take advantage. Oh, sorry, Amber. I was going to say, it's a good time to take advantage of the mortgages, really, isn't it? You know, the rates are so good at the moment. So if you can buy fixing for a long term, sort yourself out, know what you're paying, you know, you can feel fairly comfortable for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and I think if you don't know where to begin, like, start with talking to a mortgage advisor. They're really helpful, and they'll be able to access a lot for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, someone like Graham that we work with, you know, they can get pretty much anywhere in the market, and his knowledge and you know, the level of information you can gander from someone like that before you even have to commit to using them, you know, it's a great service.
Yeah, definitely. If someone came, like, into our office, or called you guys up and they're like, I'm thinking about going onto the market, should I wait until the end of the year, see where we're all going? What would you sort of advise them on that?
Go on, Ryan, after you.
I think, you know, the way things are, the demand for property at the moment, there's no reason why you should wait. I think the buyers are out there registering. I think as long as you've got that demand, then, you know, you just need to get an agent round, ideally us, obviously, to give you the right advice on pricing, marketing. And if you can get the right strategy in place, then there's, you know, very much an opportunity out there for you to get moving.
Yeah, I think whenever people ask me questions like that, I'm always really conscious that I don't want to come across as the kind of commission estate agent, and, you know, just be pushing them for the sake that I want their signature and I want their business. You know, my answer is always that actually it's not about the market, it's about you, and it's about your quality of life and when you want to make it happen and what works best for you and your family. But the reality is, Ryan's absolutely spot on. You know, if people are up for doing it and they want to do it, and they're just hesitant, then actually, you know, it's a blooming good time to give it a try now. I think it's going to be a great energy in the market. So yeah, I think if there's nothing holding you back, you know, for it. And as Ryan says, obviously there's lots of different agents out there, but it's about choosing hopefully the agents, but it's not just you know, necessarily strength in numbers. It's about the agent that's actually going to look after you and is proactive to go and get you the best result.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think as well, like we've said, there's one side of COVID where obviously, sadly, there's like job losses and things like that. But then on the other side, there's been people saving a lot of money, staying at home, not spending out on train fares, dinners, things like that. So I think there is going to be people ready to buy and ready in that position. So it does feel like a good time. Yeah. So the other question someone asked was, they don't have their finances ready right now. Should they even bother starting to look, or should they wait until they know exactly where they're at?
I think the first thing they need to do is speak to a broker or their bank. I think it's good to prepare yourself, especially with the mortgage products being pulled regularly at the moment. I think it's good to make sure you can, or you know what you have to spend, and you can get a mortgage. If you get the okay on that, then that's when it's best to start contacting agents, start chatting to them about what you want in a property and how much you've got to spend and what that's going to get you. So definitely, I think that's the first port of call. Once that's been cleared, get talking to agents, get out, starting to have a look at stuff.
Yeah, I think pre-COVID, I probably would have been a bit more like, yeah, so that get out and look, what harm's it going to do? But I think obviously at the moment we do have a bit of the duty to make sure that we're not. I think whilst we're very positive to do viewings and follow them safely, I think at the same time as well, if people genuinely aren't fully ready to move yet, then I think it's safer to not do them, if that makes sense. So I think there's a sort of safety element and a sensible element to that. But actually, look, even if you're quite ready to buy, let's say you've gone through the broker steps and you're not quite ready yet. There's so much information online, and even without going and walking through properties now, you can get the virtual tours and you can get onto the portals, and there's so much out there to explore and investigate and whatnot. So I think you can still have fun with it, even if you're not quite ready to go. And then as soon as and you've got that target amount that you've got to save, or that extra pay slip that you needed in your pocket to make it work, then bang, you know where you want to be, you know what you want to spend, and you can get out and do it. So I think its preparation is key. We had a first-time buyer recently, didn't we? Who was a lovely, lovely guy. Came in full of enthusiasm, wanted to buy property. Was full of beans that he had a great credit score and he could do it and all this kind of stuff. Spoke to the mortgage broker and he couldn't borrow anywhere near as much as he thought. So I think getting that preparation and whatnot is going to save you a lot of disappointment. Get it right and get the information correct.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So the last sort of question is to do with more property management. So tenants wondering what their rights are. Obviously, during COVID, we haven't really been able to do non-essential maintenance. Are we okay to be doing non-essential maintenance now? And then with regards to like gas safeties and EICRs that landlord has to get legally, where do they stand with that?
Well, you tell us. What do you think?
Yeah, so non-essential maintenance is fine to go ahead as long as obviously no one in your household is experiencing any symptoms of COVID. Your estate agent should be checking with you before anyone comes into the property. So non-essential maintenance is now allowed to go ahead. It's just making sure we're still taking precautions, social distancing, PPE where needed, things like that. Obviously, with the gas safeties and EICRs, they're really important to be going ahead, not just for the landlord's reasoning, but for the tenant safety as well. If there's an issue with gas, you want to know about it. So yeah, I think if you are able to allow a contractor in to be doing those things, you should be allowing them in.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a massive safety element there, and at the same time, from a landlord's, from everyone's perspective, if a tenant genuinely says no, you can't come in, either we've got symptoms of COVID or we're worried about it and whatnot, then legally you do have to respect that, and it's about keeping due diligence and making sure that you get them done at the most appropriate point. But I mean, we always encourage, and it's always tricky, but we encourage landlords and tenants to work together, because ideally you're all on the same team and you all want the same thing, which is a successful tenancy. What you tend to hear out there and the stories you hear is landlords versus tenants, or tenants versus landlords, and fragmented relationships, and that's where things become more difficult. Amber, you mentioned EICRs a couple of times there. Just people aren't sure what that is. Can you explain?
Yeah, so it's new regulation that's come in, meaning that landlords now have to get electrical safeties done on properties. This has come into effect from the 1st of July for a new tenancy, or from April next year for an existing tenancy. Renewals are falling under that new tenancy bracket as well. They last every 5 years, but you know, although it's obviously an extra thing for a landlord now to have to do, it is a good thing. We should be checking that electrics are safe in every property, so it is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think safety is paramount, and you know, it's another expenditure for landlords, so I understand why they're feeling a bit beaten up about it. So there's a lot of costs at the moment, but
Yeah.
that's one where if you take a step back and actually think about it, it's a good thing that every residential property that's now let has to have an electrical safety check done, and have a valid one at the time of the letting starting, which I think is a positive step for the industry, definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Any more? Have we got any more, or is that our questions done?
There's no questions unless you guys have any.
Any more from you, Ryan?
No, I'm all good, thanks.
Excellent, cool. Well, people of KT12, thank you for your questions. That was good fun. I hope you found it useful. We would like to be doing stuff like this a bit more often. So please do get in touch if you have questions. I'll put our contact details into the comments, and we hope you find this kind of stuff useful. And Amber, Ryan, thank you very much.
Cheers.
No worries.
Catch you soon.
Bye.